Alright guys, we got a little setup here that I'd like to talk about just for a long play here. I know that, excuse me, I had mentioned earlier that I was going to try to get y'all a few ideas out there for tonight, and so this is the video that's going to talk about those ideas. I have one here that's, this is actually a sector that we're looking to buy, and I was actually looking at Exxon and Chevron and some of the other ones, because a lot of them are very depressed right now, so I feel like we can get some good values. But the easier way to play this would be just to buy the whole sector, in my opinion, because the sector itself is beat up. So I pulled this, well, there we go. I pulled this up. This is XLE. This is the Spider Energy Select Sector Fund. So the top holdings in this thing are pretty much the ones that we'd be looking to buy. So we got Exxon, Chevron, and some other ones down through here. Valero is one of my favorite energy plays, and I've owned that one for a very long time. But I think that this is a good way to kind of get the exposure that we need. It only holds 33 stocks, and the vast majority of those are in the top 10 holdings here. So, as you can see, between Chevron and Exxon alone, it's almost half of the fund. So, if those do well, then so too shall this one. So, what we're wanting to look at here is a daily chart of... Let me get us back over here to where we're at. Okay, there we go. So we're looking at the daily chart here of XLE. You know, when oil prices were getting beat up, and we can pull out and look at a weekly just to see it, but when oil prices were getting beat up, the shares actually took a dive. We went from the peaks that they're near $100 and went all the way down to 50. So they got chopped in half in a few months, right along with crude. And so that was a very rough time to be an owner of energy plays. We have since, you know, we put in a nice rally up to actually about $75, and now we're pulling back, and we have started to rally again, but this recent sell-off has obviously caught these stocks up as well. So, you know, it's kind of one of these things, though, we want to take a look at places that are on sale, not things that are already bid up to the sky. And I do have one that I'm going to talk to you about that is elevated already, but I think you can still buy it. We'll get to that here in a second. But this is one that I think that you can look at as a good longer term play, kind of like the Procter & Gamble, the PG that we talked about a little bit earlier. And I'll just pull up my tools here so we can see. So, you know, this advance right here, in normal fashion, we would look for a pullback and preferably the 618 retracement. So this is the 618 right here. So as you can see, it's actually falling directly to that. Now we did set a little bit lower low, just to miss all that sell-off that was going on in the markets, but for the most part, this level seems to be holding. We recovered back above it, we dipped back down, and today we recovered again. So I kind of feel like that this is going to be an area where we play around. It's also kind of strengthened by the fact that we have the 200-day moving average right here with it. So this orange line right here that's curving right here, that is the 200-day moving average, which currently stands at about $68. So we are pretty much right on that right now. You know, I kind of think that you see all this volume coming into play down here in the bottom. That's probably a sign that the capitulation is in play. So that means that pretty much we're running out of sellers at this point. So the buyers should be able to take control and push us back higher. And I kind of have wanted to put some of these levels on here for you as we go, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So let me give us a little bit of extra chart room over here. And we'll take a look here now. I want to do the Fibonacci retracements, of course. And we're going to go from this high down here to this low that we set the other day. And kind of see if there's any kind of major areas that we should be looking at on the way back up, and what those areas are for resistance. So, just right off the bat, I see a little area right in here wherever, you know, where we have a 50% retracement from this swing, coinciding with a 38.2 retracement from this other swing. And so I think that's going to be an area that gives us a little pause. Beyond that, this whole zone up here actually is one that's it should be a little bit of a trouble just because we have the 50-day, we have some retracements, so it's possible that we ended up doing this little bounce from where we're at here up into this zone and then fall back down. But just given the depressed prices of this sector already, I don't know how much downside we can really come up with. So, of course, you know, don't take that as there's no risk at all. So I just want you to be sure to know that yes, there are risks. I just think it's limited at this point. And as you can kind of see here, it has respected this level before on a couple of different occasions. So I think that you've got to kind of respect it again and let it, you know, follow suit with it there. The other one I want to mention was a play on China. I don't necessarily like China specifically or directly. but shares of Alibaba, BABA is the ticker. They have been a very good performer. It's kind of the Amazon or eBay or however you want to think of it, of China. And Jack Ma is the guy who runs that thing, so he has done a very good job pretty much minting money. So if you kind of take a look at this daily chart here, it was at pretty much all-time highs above 200 bucks. And let's get rid of some of these pop-ups that are going on here. But you know, we were up here over $200, and then we got caught up in the market weakness, and so it pulled back. Its pullback was relatively modest compared to the broader market. I think it's important to note here that we did not end up giving a new low in place. So this low right here stayed above this low here. That's an encouraging sign. And also that this whole area right through here has pretty much acted as a support before. 170, give or take a couple dollars there. So, and you can see it there on multiple occasions. We got 1 here, 3, 4, and now 5. So 5 checks on that 170, and it's held all 5 times. So I think that's got the cue, or set the stage for us to start heading back higher. We've already saw that happening today, and actually I think the shares actually went up by about 5% today, 4%. So, you know, we might look for a little bit of a pullback, and we'll fine tune that entry here in just a second. But I think this is a name that you can get long and have it as a kind of an international, you know, not U.S. markets, and it's a good, well-ran company that has done a very good job and is growing like a wildfire right now over there in China. So if we're going to fine-tune our entry here a little bit, we'll start walking in the time frames. We'll take a look here at the hourly chart where you see, let's find it here, that we are looking, of course, just like the S&P, for that high to be taken out, but it is pretty much there right now, so that's an encouraging sign. I do think that it probably does give us a little bit of a pullback, which is perfect because it's where we need to enter. So we'll be looking here, and I'll go ahead and put it on there for you so you see the number. We'll be looking for, of course, the 618 retracement of this move, and we'll just have to assume that this is the top of this move for the time being, because until the chart says otherwise, it is the top of the move. So, and we'll give us a little bit more wiggle room over here. Okay, so that being said, so now I've been thinking about a pullback here from this area to the 618 retracement, and then a resumption higher. I think that this one might not quite make it down to that 618, and I think that it'll actually, that this 382 could be a level to watch. Pretty much anywhere in this zone. Like I say, it did find support here, and it was pretty solid. But I just don't know that especially if the markets are going to continue pushing higher over the next few weeks, then I think this one will not give us much of a chance beyond, say, 180 there, to get into it. So we could be looking to buy in that 180 level, which is the 382 retracement here. And like I say, we already have the buy mode in place with the crossover of the moving averages, the taking out of the high. Now we're knocking on this high. So I think that, you know, like I say, while I think we might pause, we might push incrementally higher, we'll eventually dip back down here. So we'll be looking to buy in that 180 area for a long-term play on China. When I say a long-term, though, that does not mean you can forget about it and just own it blindly without ever paying attention to it. You definitely need to keep an eye on it, because things can shift very quickly. And like I say, even though this thing is already fairly elevated, and we do see some signs that we need to keep an eye on, such as some heavier volume coming in to sell here and more frequently, I still think that this thing is going to stay held up pretty much, and I think it will keep going to the upside. So I'm looking to buy shares of Alibaba, and I would actually probably prefer to do that with options, of course. But that's just a little trade setup that you can kind of start looking at for the next couple of days ahead. I think, like I say, 180 on BABA, and if we switch back over to that energy sector, we can pretty much buy it as is right here, right now. You know, you might get a little bit of a pullback back down to, say, 67.5, or we might go back and test this low at 64.5. But I don't think that's the case. I mean, if the market does fall off the cliff over here in the next few days, then yes, we will have that happen. But if the market can kind of stabilize, at least for the most part, I think that this one kind of just goes sideways, even if the S&P itself is falling. And then I think we start going back higher. Now we have to keep an eye on the crude oil stockpiles and reserves and all that kind of stuff too. But bottom line is that oil still makes the world go around, and it will for a very long time. So I want to be an owner, and already am an owner of the energy sector altogether. Okay, guys, that's a little update for a couple trades for you for the next couple days. So just kind of keep an eye on that and be looking to buy XLE and BABA. All right, take care. Bye bye.